Good evening all, how are we? We've got two systems, neither one's working today, so it's down to the old Google Docs. Thank you all very much for coming. I'm Mark, the founder of Challenging Councils. I live in the South Island, for those of you that don't know where that is, that's South Island. It's a wee town called Centro Otago, where we go to the apricots. So that's where I live. I've had a long journey through New Zealand, over 100 meetings so far, and another 70 to go before I get back to my hometown before Christmas. So thank you for coming along. A wee bit about myself, 40 years in business consultancy, business troubleshooting. So you'd like to come down, sit down here? Would you like a chair over the back? Otherwise the pew at the front's got a collection box. So my career has been throughout New Zealand, living in a suitcase. Spent probably 20 years in North Island, 20 in the South, in a role of looking at CEOs, looking at company managers, looking at companies, sort them out one way or another. And some are put in jail and some are rebuilt to be multi-billion-dollar industries. On the other side of it, some of the warehouses I might manage, I close them down. All this is done without a union squabble, all this is done without a redundancy clause, so you've got to know what you're doing when you're there, otherwise you've got legal trouble. So I don't go too much into my past, but just to give you an idea, I have a Bachelor of Commerce and I have a degree in horticulture as well. So that's enough for me. I'd like to tell you about Challenging Councils. In October last year, there was a group of people from Whangaparoa through to Bluff, a couple of thousand k's. There was approximately 50 in that meeting over 2 days, 3 for some. And what they were looking at is why you're here today. Frustration of rates, frustration of not getting anywhere, frustration of seeing systems being ignored, people being ignored, and the bottom line was the people needed to see something. So they sat around for 2 days and they discussed everything, and then at the end of it they asked me for my opinion. And I said I won't give one today because you're not where you need to be. Where you need to be is something we'll discuss over the next couple of months. So November, December, January we started getting them to understand what the problem is, and then in March the 4th we launched Challenging Councils. And when I launched it, and I'm pretty hard-nosed because of my background, so my apologies, some might go over your head, give me a thick ear and tell me to repeat it. If you don't understand, I'll repeat it. Because you must know, you must understand what the problem is here, and in doing so I can be a little bit over the head but not too much, because this is basically grassroots, and I'm not going to get into the legal side of things in terms of where you can be off-grid and that type of thing. I'm going to talk about basics today, and fraud, extortion, solvency, a lot. So I'm going to give you some examples of what we're finding around New Zealand as a team. Challenging Councils has 1 barrister, 4 lawyers, 3 auditors, 3 admin, which sort of lead the bunch, and then we have approximately 100 maybe admin underneath. Our researchers, we have 7 in one town alone, and we would have probably 15 or 20 around New Zealand. And these people work for you under the Telegram page, and you can write to them anytime and ask them a question, and you can write to any other team in New Zealand and ask them a question. We would have approximately, I lose count, approximately 50 teams in New Zealand, such as yourself here today, who are adamant they're going to find the problem within their community and challenge the council on that. So we guide you through that. We don't tell you what to do. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to sort of give you an idea, give you a little bit of education, and then point you in the right direction. And when you leave here today, there are templates for those that join up and decide to do something, you will actually then work off a template. Someone will lead the team. I'm not sure who that is at this point. I'm not sure. Is that you, Karen, or is that who's going to lead?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly. You're getting loaded with a bit, aren't you?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's right.
So Karen will pick up your addresses, your names, your
Oh
addresses.
yeah, I'll be gathering in the forms. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in here we will work with all the areas around that are under your council, and we've just finished doing the one down south today, or whatever that is. What is that called? Rodney. Is it Rodney?
No, it's Kaitaia.
Kaitaia. Thank you. I'll get through so many I can lose count. So Challenging Council started off looking at the problems that we face, and we find that we need to teach you one thing, and that's action. You do a lot of talking, you got a lot of meetings over the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years. You've done an awful lot of talking, but you haven't achieved a damn thing. And what we're finding now is to educate you in a way to go forward and actually aspire to achieve something, whether it's to roll the council, whether it's to expose them, whether it's to get a whole new set of people into the next election, which is the background to this. Throughout New Zealand, we have teams around that have a CEO, a mayor, and 5 or 6 councils underneath them, and they're ready and getting wound up for the next election. They're also looking at fraud within that council, and right now they're busy crossing their T's and dotting their I's and hoping to do that before the election, which is a goal. And we have a few other councils like that in New Zealand. We'd love to roll before the election because that gives you more power and more people are actually going to stand up and jump behind you, because when the tide comes in, you need to be on the surfboard. And that's basically about it. So, can everyone hear me firstly? At the end of it, I'm going to have this young man explain over here the table of the movement that you have. Would you like to stand up and do it now? The table.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's something I started up before the general election, and it was just getting questions for the candidates, because nobody was knowing what the candidate stood for or anything. So I thought, well, let's get these questions. I got over 400 questions and was resoundingly ignored at the end of it.
Just move aside to the camera, please.
You're all right, mate. No, you're fine.
Anyway, I decided to keep it going for the local body elections, and when this challenging council thing came around, I started thinking, I'm talking about it, but I'm not doing anything. So this was the incentive this evening tonight, to get this old desk up again, and a couple of rolls of newsprint, and basically just out there asking questions. Every Saturday I'm at the market, and will be until the next local body elections. And anybody who's got anything to say, anything they want to say, we will be handing that on to the council on a monthly basis. And anybody who's got any ideas to make it work better, or anybody who wants to do it in any other area rather than where I'm doing it here, then I would thoroughly support that, and I'd like to encourage it. So it's not just me as a lonely nutter from up here that can be ignored. It's going to be people from all the different areas of the Whanau district.
Thank you very much.
That's about it, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar to where you were going. Throughout New Zealand, we have, not everyone's in challenging councils. We don't tell you to. What you call yourself is entirely up to you. So we have North Canterbury Rangers and ratepayers. We have someone like Sawiki challenging councils, borough council. So our goal is to learn how a borough council works and to bring that back into the system, because the borough council over the years, always up until 1988, always ran at a profit, always ran a profit under the rates, no loans, never did. And in the loans, in the rates, it actually created assets like forestries and buildings and swimming pools and libraries, and it built these, but you people built them. Right? We didn't go offshore and borrow a whole power of money and come in and get some clown to come in and do it at 300,000 and we can do it for $30. And I just wanted to show you a few of those while I'm talking about that, is those speed humps. Do you have them in town? Yeah. The little yellow and black ones? I'm going to have a questionnaire. What price are they? Anyone want to have a guess? Come on, give me a guess.
Too much.
No, you're well short. Keep going. Have a guess. No, you're well short.
80 grand.
Just
Well
one.
short.
300.
One of those, yellow black, 300,000.
What?
That, 300,000.
To make more bucks in the road.
All right, so let's go step 300,000. The white ones that you got in Hamilton, they're nearly $1 million. We used to do that on Saturday morning with the flag at the end of it, didn't we? Remember those days? Yeah, they were the good old days. So we need to go back and learn how we did that and rebuild that spirit within the thing. So let's have a look at freedom camping. The toilets. Right, so Lee Vandervis in Dunedin has been bringing them into the country. They're $18,600. Okay, how much to put them on a freedom camping site?
160.
Multiplied by?
I don't know, that's up at where I live.
Be around 450, I'd say.
In Dunedin, they're $1 million. In Hamilton, they're not far short of that because they get more. So there's some of the things now we're highlighting that you guys need to learn, you need to see, and you need to challenge. So,
How does it grow from up to $1 million? I mean, what are the costs? How do they do that?
thank you for asking. So let's have a look at what we need to put something on a site. Permit, consent, notified application, management plan, safety plan, and someone to hook it up.
And the visits.
So they're paying themselves, because that goes to the council.
That's right.
That's what you're gonna learn. It's exactly what you're gonna learn. Yeah, and this is where you can call that extortion, you can call it fraud, you can call it what you like. At the end of the day,
Thievery. We call it thievery.
Yeah.
extortion, taking money where they don't need to be taken. So in Dunedin, just to give you some figures around New Zealand about what's happening in challenging councils, in Dunedin, we borrowed $1 billion last year in Dunedin, population under 180,000. We borrowed $1 billion down there, and they are paying interest of $1 million a week on the $1 billion. And how do they earn that?
Right.
They borrow. They borrow $1 million a week, pay back the interest on the billion. In Hamilton, we borrowed $2.5 billion. I say we, it's not me, but it's just being polite. So we borrowed $2.5 billion this year. Tell me how much we're going to pay back on that.
Nothing.
$2.5 million.
$2.5 million. Interest only. And what happens was they borrow this money off LGFA, Local Government Funding Association, whom is partly funded by us. When it first started in 2011, the Local Government Act came in 2009. That's where the government took over the councils. It started in 1989 when the council started, but in 2002 they created an act where they could control what they think is us. And in 2011 they started a funding authority where councils could borrow money at 5%. So everyone thought this was a jolly good idea. We can play with this in ways that we don't understand, in ways that they didn't understand either, because now they admit they're out of control. Councils will freely tell you, CEOs will freely tell you. Where's that light coming from here, Phil?
Oh, no, it'll move.
So where does that money come from? Is it printed or overseas?
Right, so Local Government Funding Association has, we the people started putting into that in 2011, but we fell well short. The government started putting in bonds and money, but we still didn't have enough money to lend out. So we then started borrowing offshore. So now we are finding or looking in our research team as to who lends that money. And right now, you may think it's likes of BlackRock and Vanguard and Bill Gates and all those, but no, it's not. They're a puppet on the string, but it's not them. The people that own Local Government Funding Association, right in the background, when you go through them all, is 45% owned by Merrill Lynch, worldwide auditing company. They do not attend any meetings, they do not attend any boards, they just sit in the background and crack the whip.
Who is it?
Merrill Lynch.
Here.
Yep. And from that, we also start looking then at who else is in the system. So we have speculation, but we do know one, and that's the Canadian Super Fund. We do know they've poured money into New Zealand on loans. Some of the others we suspect is Saudi Arabia. You've got someone likes of Vatican and some of those things in the background. Saudi Arabia, the oil companies, you might have China, but at the moment those facts aren't there for us to actually tell you exactly who they are.
So what are they actually securing against the loans?
Thin air.
So what if they forfeit the loans? What do they do?
Okay, let's go there. So your land, this land out here is a deed. Right, in the 1800s, we were given the deed for we the people free. You cannot lend, cannot borrow, cannot sell, cannot lease, cannot use it for any form of monetary gain. But there were some people back then that wanted to control the people. So they thought, well, we've got to do something. So how do we get some money? They came up with a brilliant idea of using a title on the land. And what transpired then was they gave it to the Anglican Church, and the Anglican Church gave them the money, and they got set up, and then went along further, and eventually the Vatican was involved, and eventually other people like ANZ are involved now. ANZ is not owned by New Zealand or Australia, it's owned by America under the martial law of 1946. So what transpires is that in all this lending, they've lent against a piece of paper. There is no asset for them to lend on or borrow on. It's a piece of paper they created. So what you have to understand is everything since is a fraud. It's a fraudulent document, square one, fraudulent document. So is everything. Even today when they threaten you with your land, it's very simple, under maximum law, he who signs pays. You get that? Did you sign? Have you given the council or the government a contract where you agreed for them to borrow against your house? Bloody oath, you did right. So there is no ink copy where you people have agreed for the council or the government to use your home as security. So there's your major fraud. That's a biggie. So let's take that down a step into QV, where you get your quotable valuation. So your quotable valuation is a figure that United Nations and World Economic Forum require to run their conglomerate. It's given to all countries in the world, everyone gets a bill. Why we do that, I don't know. Why we pay it, we need to see a psychiatrist. So they come to us with a figure. That figure then equates to the QV. The QV then is just distributed throughout New Zealand on all ratepayers. And that figure is totally illegal. We don't grant that, we don't allow it, we don't want it, we don't agree to it. But again, we've got this situation where someone thinks they can overpower us and they can bully us. We'll talk about bullying later, but we bully them back. There's means of doing that. So we have the QV. In searching some of these QVs, we have found people with a 2-bedroom house, quite a few bathrooms, quite a few garages, and in actual fact, it's an old lady with a 2-bedroom house and an old wooden bathroom. And these are the sort of things that are going on in the background. So you, the people, can actually start doing a little bit of homework, and you can look into the legal requirements of a valuer. And the legal requirements of a valuer, it requires them to be within a close proximity of the actual value of the house. This year in New Zealand, the average rate price dropped 16%. So we should have dropped rates by 16%. That's the law. But we didn't, because these companies tell the government they need this much and we ignore the facts, we ignore all that, throw that into the wind, and we bump up this QV. Now that QV, as it stands, is extremely challengeable for actually being a fraudulent document, and that's another wing of the government. Because that QV that they put on your land is nowhere near, or even remotely close to accuracy on your minus 16%, and they put 27, down home it's 37% rate QV increase on my land. And so that made it 53% differential between actual and some glorified figure that some clown screamed up. So that's one area that you can look at. It's not a great one, but it's still, personally, you could drop your rates by 53%, couldn't you? Well, not, you could drop the unit value by 53%, but not your rates. Because your rates will always be at some level prior to that.
So is the purpose of the QV figure, a value of all the properties in New Zealand, so they've got a total value borrow against? Is that what the QV purpose of it is?
Borrow, you're on the right track,
Yeah,
but what government gets is an invoice from United Nations World Economic Forum for funding. So that QV is the amount of money they need to fix their funding.
oh, okay, so if that figure is $1 billion, all of the QVs of the country have to add up to that figure. Okay.
And you get a rates increase as a result of it as well.
Yes.
Wow.
So the rates
Which
is the
is
next
second,
step.
yeah.
The QV is government orientated.
Yeah.
The rates works in two steps. One, the council decides how much it wants. So that's the rates up. Simple as that. And we buy a lollipop and start sucking because we agree to it. We get an argument. So we've entered into their so-called contract and we've agreed to pay the rates. But you've never had an invoice. You don't get an invoice, you get a demand. And when your mum was alive and she demanded you do something, what did you do? The opposite. So why are we paying rates? Why are we paying insurances? These things you're going to learn as we go along. So today, it's grassroots. Next time I come back, it's stepping up a bit and understanding some of these procedures to fight. You're going to learn them in between as well, some of them. And when you come back later on, you'll learn to stand on your own 2 feet and eventually you take on the council. And what we're seeing down home where I come from is the 2 mayors that we consistently hassle and argue with have both resigning. And we do that by pressure. We do to them what they do to us, and that's bully them. So if I mention Kaitaia down in Balclutha had a public meeting, approximately 120 people turned up, and they asked me to come along and speak, and they gave me some figures, and Kaitaia came in, the mayor, and he's wrapped in air, his ego was bigger than a hot air balloon. He turned around and he said, next year you're going to be 14% rates. The 17 now, so he was making out this was a good thing. I just turned around and said, you're talking BS and you're full of it. You really need to resign today in front of all these people because you are deliberately defrauding them. You are deliberately lying to them, and these are your people and you are not listening to them. And at the end of the day, the situation is this. You have borrowed $600 million at 5% to fix 3 waters, which doesn't need fixing. And at the end of the day, 600 million at 5% is 30 million. And you divide it by the rate pays, 11,000. $30 million a year in interest, 11,000 rate pays. Click home it, $2,727 increase in rates next year. To get the 14%, that ain't possible to happen, absolutely impossible, anywhere in New Zealand. And I'm going to tell you this, you can do your research as a team, and you're going to find out that we have things in the background that you don't see, I don't see, until we put researchers in and we start taking these things out of the woodwork. There's a thing called an SPV. Anyone know what it is? It's a special purpose vehicle. The government gives the council the right to use this item to raise funds for likes of WSP consultancy. You see that white truck running around for WSP? It's an American company. So they are drawing out of the council for their consultancy and their workmanship. council can use it for something like some bridge. But nowhere will you find it, because the government says they do not have to show it to the public. It is alone a large amount of money that is in the background where we cannot find it when we look at an audit. You go and look at their general audit that comes out, and you look at there and you see the costings that they have, which are fictitious, and you have the expenditures they have, which is fictitious. But you never see it, the special purpose vehicle amount in the background, never. Because the government says they don't have to show the still debt that you owe. And it's deceptive and deceiving to hide that in the background.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
When they go for this special vehicle loan,
Yes?
do they have to have a meeting and everybody in the council approve it, or how do who authorises such a thing? Who's accountable for this such a thing? If we can't see it, there must be somebody accountable.
We'll come to that. Yes, I'll answer that now. I'll come back to this signing situation.
You can wait if you want.
No. You ask a question, I'm going to answer it. At the end of the day, what happens there is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, the Executive Officer, and the WEF get together and they decide. And who signs it? CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and the WEF CEO. All WEF, in my opinion, all CEOs are WEF, in my opinion, from our researchers. So that's what happens. Now, coming back to maximum law, you'll hear me bring it up a few times. He who signs pays. So we're going to have to deal with that soon. So what transpires there is they go along and borrow whatever money they like, whatever interest rate they like from wherever they want to borrow. And you can't find it. So we've asked for forensic audits around New Zealand, 78 councils. We've asked for 78 forensic audits. We have 3 auditors in our group under challenging councils. They're in challenging councils, but they're also independent in their own business, and they're ready to inspect the books. So we got our one and only one that came in the South Island, the first forensic audit ever to be produced in New Zealand, and they redacted half of it. Why do they redact it? You don't need to know the fraud that's going on. So now we go back up to the Attorney General, and he's told them they must release the full audit for us to examine. Now that
Are councillors aware of this bloody financial quagmire?
in answer to your question, I say they are at fault. I say they're at fault because what happens is the direction comes from World Economic and United Nations, the government, down through local government and on to the CEO. The CEO then goes and does it. Now what transpires is a day, maybe 2 days before the council meeting, they get a book like this with everything that they're going to pass tomorrow. My problem with that, and I confront them, is simple. You have the right to say no, you have the right to ask for due diligence. You have a fiduciary duty to us. And you are not using that fiduciary duty of transparency, honesty, and an oath to the people by just passing it. Are they aware of it? Well, in the meeting they are, but they can still ask for no, I need to do due diligence. And no, they don't do it. And the reason behind that is the bullying. And some of you may not understand what I'm about to say, but in Waimate and Dunedin, Hamilton and Nelson, West Coast, we have situations where you will toe the line, or we will have you for sex with a minor, we'll have you for paedophile, we'll have you for anything that we can drum up until such time as you give in and follow the line. And I can name councils in those shoes.
So what, excuse me, but what we're talking about here is electing councillors to manage our friggin' money, and they're not doing it.
Dead right. No question
What
about
the
it.
hell do we need it for?
We'll come to that. We're still going to have a council anyway we look at it, because someone's got to manage the sewer, the water, stormwater, someone's got to manage the swimming pools and that type of thing.
It ain't the politicians.
we won't go and talk about politics just yet. We're non-political.
Yeah.
No, we'll get there, but not right now. We're non-political. We're all retired. I think one or two are not quite retired. We're not funded by anyone, so no one can tell us what we can and can't say. Where a lot of groups around New Zealand now are paid to keep within their parameters. They're not paid to bring you people together or to make you realise of the fraud. We refuse any companies with hidden agendas to finance us. We solely work on the koha, we solely work on a bank statement that you can put money. That's our only form of income. The rest I basically fund along with a couple of others, so it's out of our pocket. So our budget this year is around 100,000 to tell you people what's going on and how it's going on. Less the peanuts we get out of the koha. So we are not able to be bribed. My background, I would I would take them down first before I accept the bribe, because I had 40 years of finding it. Why would I change coat now? Yeah.
How many ex-councillors, and we've got one here, are willing to stand up and say that they know? Are there many?
In the back of Challenging Council's Telegram page, we've set a separate page up that you people can't see right now. And that is for all these councils around New Zealand that are getting victimised, harassed. Got one in Waimate, and they bring him up and tell him he doesn't need to come today. We're voting, and your vote doesn't count. He's one of ours, and he stands up for us. And the others abuse him, even uptown they abuse him, everywhere he goes. And so I pop in to see him, and we sit down and talk, and we encourage him to stay in for the next election. And now we've come up with another idea, and that is to have a private page where all the councils from around New Zealand, and Mayor and Whakatane, they're all going into that page, and they can talk about the abuse and they can rebuild their self-esteem. So for the next election, they're fired up. In the meantime, we have to nurse them and help them out, because when you're getting bullied at the rate they're getting bullied, you don't understand it until it's happening to you. And you people have it in a minor way when they talk about taking the land off you. That's peanuts to what these guys go in a council meeting. So some of them, sir, are on our side, and we support them and we'll grow with them. And the others we're going to take out. And how do we take them out? Well, next year, you're going to have for us in your area, not just this town, Kaitaia, but in your area, your rankable area, you're going to find a CEO, a mayor, and X amount of councillors. What we have planned, and for you, at this stage, I will release a wee bit of information. We're going to work with Groundswell next year to expose the councillors, the CEO and the mayor that aren't on our side. And we're going to make sure that you, the people, know not to vote for them. And we're going to show you the people that you want us to vote for, and we're going to get our support in behind them. And we can cover more than newspaper, radio and TV using those flyers, which we use enormously in the South Island. And that's how we squeeze people out. So the whole idea here is for you to understand some of the fraud, which we're going to talk about as we go along, and answer your questions for you. I'm quite happy with that. And at the end of it, we'll start getting a really good picture of what the story really is. So to tell you about another person that was a councillor, and she's on the coast, so I don't give names other than myself and Andrea are the only two names you'll ever find in challenging councils. The rest are protected, because in Waimakariri, where we have a CEO and a mayor and councillors, they are actually calling us by name publicly, which is defamation. And that's how desperate they are. They have to fight back, because a bully always, when it's flawed, gets back up and cries. And what we have with Waimakariri is they're getting back up and crying, poor buggers. We haven't finished with them yet, we haven't started really, but we do attack them with flyers. And I'll show you about that. So this lady on the west coast, she's councillor for 2 terms, and she stood up for us. And she'd stand up in the council and tell them, no, we need to do our homework. So the CEO turned around and sacked her. He had no right to sack her, but he sacked her. That's how much these guys, so how callous they really are. Not only did he sack her, he put a trespass order on her, and she was not allowed to enter the council building. He then put a trespass order on her so she couldn't talk to the CEO. And then they chased it for 4 years until they finally bankrupted in court. So that's the other side of what happens when you don't do what you're told to do in a fraudulent manner. You're gonna stick with fraud, you keep going along, we're gonna nail you. In her case, she now started her area, 30 people, she's out 300. So she knows a lot that you people may talk to her, you may talk to someone else around New Zealand. That's up to you who you talk to, the door's there, talk to anyone you like. You ask any question you like, it's there in the Telling Challenging Council page. So from there we have someone like Tim and Nelson. Tim's been 10 years a councillor, and he turned around when I had a meeting with him and he said, we've been sucked in. And I said, how's that? He says, we put roading out for tender, and these people come in and take the tender and away they go, and they come back with their price and they do the job, and we pay them. I said, perfectly normal. No, it's not, he says, because then they turn around and write out another invoice. I said, what for? And he says, for health and safety. I said, what's that tell? I said, cones. So you ask different council areas, what does a cone cost? Down south it's $2 a day, and you must shift it 3 more times. And then put it on the truck to go home. So that's $8 a day. And how many cones do they have out? Listening houses. And where are they? They're not to be found. It's been there for how long? So coming over this way, I was going through the hills around Whittianga and that type of thing, and there were cones sitting out there, and they tell me they've been there for 2 years and never fixed the road. So when you start looking at where the money's going, you start looking at this, and you start looking at the toilet, and you start looking at cones out, and you start looking at where they're going down the side of the street, closing out, parking off, and putting in a bus lane and a cycle lane. Road user charges that we pay go to cycle lanes. They don't go to the road. And now the government's saying we're no longer going to pay 51% of the main roads, and the council pay 49%, you're going to pay the lot. So they're taking themselves away from what they've created and passed it over to the council. So it's a situation where we need to stop that. So how do we do that? For me personally, we started these flyers, and down in Clutha, where this guy exposed $600 million, we have a flyer there, and we have different things we put on it. And then all the old fogies have one each. One does Monday, one does Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So every Sunday, 7 different people have 7 different flyers, and they put in these letterboxes. And this goes on and on and on till the wife gets fed up. And she gives them a kick in the back head and do something about it. We meet him in the service station, in the Pick and Save. We meet him out in the street. We meet him everywhere, and we ask him, how is he going, paying off his loan? And now what's happening around New Zealand is when we challenge them, they think if they leave, they won't be liable. But you can go back to pre-1988, and anyone that signed a loan, that person is who we're after. So we find in our local council down home, we find the people that signed the dotted line. In answer to your question, we find those and we start sending them messages. And we've even got the stage where someone's come up with the idea of putting a for sale sign on their section. Because they signed it, they're going to pay, here we are, we're itemising it, we're going to expose those people, because they're bullies, they're going to take you out if they can have their way. So if they're going to bully us, why don't we bully them? So now we put a for sale sign on their section. And you the people going around there and go, she works at the council and that's for sale, she must be one of the signatories. It doesn't take much to work out that. And then you start getting to that person, how are you paying it back? So you'll see right around New Zealand that CEOs, 7 of them, there's approximately 4 mayors looking to resign, and we have 1 or 2 staff that do the writing in the council. They're all starting to get nervous, and quite a few of them have already left. But it makes no difference to us because they signed, they pay.
So Mark, I used to, when I was running the meetings in the role that I had as a mayor, I used to make sure that every vote was, I'd call a division. which made the councillors have to put the name to their vote to start with, because I had a very corrupt council. But I would like to stand up for many elected people, because they are just simply not, there's no protection for any councils by the Audit Office, Serious Fraud Office, all of these organisations, regulatory organisations, I took on big time as a mayor. Didn't vote for my annual plans at all, never voted for the long-term plan, all based on corrupt figures. So the thing about it is that all of the oversight authorities on the auditing and everything, they in themselves never get audited. They are a huge problem in all of this happening. Councillors can't know all that. Mark stayed over with me last night, never met the man until yesterday. And so some good things come out of this in terms of talking about how it is affected by the international methods that they're getting involved. I didn't fully understand that.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing to know, because that isn't, when you stand in opposition or you're the messenger in this country, you always get shot. So I can truly tell you, I know what that is.
I know.
And Tolleen and I, Mahuta, both the last two local government when I was in there, we're up against it. And with what Mark's talking about, I come at it much more from a governance type. I believe that government should lead and should be telling the chief executives what to do. But I've really, most of, just about everything I've heard here, I can tell you that is an absolute. It's an absolute. We are up against the chief executives, which is a big focus of Mark to take down that system. They're unelected and they have all the power. They have absolutely all the power and they rotate between districts. Not hard to prove at all. Peace and love to you, Mark.
Thank you for your honor. Ask me one question. Certainly, sir, you're most welcome.
Once this movement's been going, is it to boost the government?
Yep.
Right. How long do you think it'll take?
Next election.
Next election? I sincerely hope so.
How do you eat an elephant?
Slow.
One bite at a time.
Right. First bite is to educate you people what to do and to understand the level of debt so that you actually take the nappies off and start doing something. That's step one. Just an education, an idea, and bring it on board. So progress is true. We get to the stage where at the next election, you guys, so this will be step 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, you guys have turned around and got your own CEO, you've got your mayor, and you've got your councillors. And we get behind and we vote them in. And we have to do a wee bit of homework before the next elections, and that is to find out how we're going to stop them from altering the figures after the booth is closed and the 2, 3, 4, 5 days later where they open them up and the figures aren't what they should be. So we're looking at preempting that, so we've got some ideas. So New Zealand wide, we will have people coming in. The CEO will come in and sack the people that he needs to sack, and then he will resign. That's the goal. And then from that, the mayor takes over in the formation of a borough council type system, using the basics and bringing them through from 1988 through to 2025. What do we have to do to change things around? Because forget the debt, you don't own it, it's irrelevant to you. Don't even go there. Don't even get harassed by it. If you're not paying rates, that's your situation. I have no problem with you not paying rates. I do have a problem with the outcome. And what the council's now doing is they're creating their own hung jury. They're creating a false court. They have a false judge, it could be you. They have a false secretary, it could be you. And they have a false lawyer, it could be you. And these are councillors. So what they do is after 3 years, they deem the land to be abandoned. Whether you own it or not, it's irrelevant to them. And what they do is they sell it while you're still living on it. And a guy in Hamilton, $865,000 house, he had $26,000 worth of rates. He paid 14, said he'd pay 12 over the next 3 months. Council agreed, and up came the new people, shipped into the house, and he knew nothing about it. The policeman was standing outside, and he called him up down, and he came down to speak to the policeman, told the F5. He'd gone outside his boundary. There was abandoned land. They got him. How cool is that? They took the $865,000 because they didn't own the land, he ended up nothing. But in Hamilton, there is a way. In Hamilton have 300 people not paying rates. They put it in a private trust. A normal trust is owned by the government. So you take the money out while you're asleep. So you can't get into government systems, the contracts of the government, common law and that type of thing. They use that. In Hamilton, they use common law, they use natural law, they use equity law, they'll use marine law, etc. And they're all well versed, and they have a wide knowledge, so much so that they beat a judge. What happens here is they set up the private trust, they put the money in it, they don't argue about it, they put it in, they then show it to the council and say, we have forming a contract with you, we will pay the rates. Here they are, we will pay them when you can show us you're not committing fraud and you're not spending the money in Ukraine and other such countries for war, which we donate to. We the people donate that. So that money's sitting there, it's been there for a jolly long time, and Hamilton cannot use it. So we limit their borrowing, because if they were working on around about $300 million of income approximately, what happens there is it's no longer 300, it drops down by 300 people, and that limits their spending because no income, no borrowing. So they're actually tying them up with a slow death. So the more people that join that, the quicker that comes to a head. But we don't want it to come to a head until we found the mayor and CEO. So Andrew Bider, I don't know whether any has heard of him. He's very, very outspoken. He's a architect, and he is in their face big time. He's had enough. And the architect takes him 3 to 4 months of hassle to get that through the council, along with his other architect mates. So they've all got together and they actually fire up the council, and rightly so. So Andrew now in our meetings, he's got himself, and 3 other councillors. It's 4. He needs another 4. He's also now doing that off grid, and he's also got a mayor coming on board, and all we need then is a CEO. So the next election, Hamilton can take Hamilton back. And we just have to make sure that those votes are legitimised and not dealt with and behind closed doors. That's part of our parcel. So groundswell in ourselves, meet again in January when I get back down south. Laurie and Price are from Gore. I'm from 100k away from that, so we meet in Gore and we have a meeting whenever we both got time. He's away overseas and I'm up here. So basically what we have decided to do is that next year we start showing these people out, and then at the same token, when you guys get people, a council or something like that, we're going to help to educate him so that he doesn't go in there and he's not blind like the idiots that are in there now, who just go, yep, they're going to be able to say no because they're going to run the council. And that's where we want to go with those people. Now, questions while I think about the next one?
I've got another question.
Go for it.
It's probably gonna hurt you. I like that. But how many people do you think are still gonna be around to be fighting the council in another 10 years?
You want me to tell you that? Challenging Council started on March the 4th with me, and we're now close on 6 figures.
Okay.
So how does that transpire? Because if we get to you and get you to understand the problem, you go home and put your nappies on and go back to bed, or you get up and say, I need to do something here. I do this for my kids. I'm 70. And at the end of the day, my kids will not see retirement, and my grandkids will not see 20. Think I'm joking? Let me show you. We have, for the people, the conspiracy theorists, we have the aluminium and the geoengineering. For those that think that's a joke, Google it. Go into YouTube and watch them loading the planes, watch them flying underneath there and releasing it, and they stop while they turn around and they open up again. Go and see that. APIL. Has anyone heard of APIL?
Yeah.
APIL is a wax designed by Bill Gates. This wax contains cyanide, fluoride, and lead. This is a wax made to go over your avocados, oranges, and any fruit imported from overseas. It's in Auckland. It's already on the internet, it's in Auckland. This here is not made to preserve the fruit like a wax is, it's made to penetrate the poison. We talk about fluoride at 1.33 million parts per million per litre of water. Where's that figure come from? The health board. Is it accurate? You guys need to find out. Because we're going to have a battle on our hand getting rid of fluoride. You get it at the dentist, you get your toothpaste, you get it in your water, you get it in the shower, if you've got a swimming pool or spa, you get it in there, and it's all over you. That's dementia. You start looking at 5G tower, and a 5G tower runs on frequency, and the frequency is designed, A, to play with your hearing aids, if you're near it, and it can play with your electrical current within your system. It's geared to do that. So these are the things they tell you that it's good for a speeding up your cell phone. It's speeding up your death, it's not speeding up your cell phone. Stand underneath it and see if anything works faster. All around New Zealand they stand underneath it and it's not working any faster. Go and research it. Look at it down the road, come here, not happening, no difference.
So if we can't get people to listen to that sort of information about how they're being slowly killed or quickly killed, how are we going to get them to listen when we talk about local council and rates and things? I think that's the question you were getting at. How do we make people listen?
It's better than newspaper, better than TV, better than radio. What do you put on? So you as the people come up with a seed, an idea to make people think. You'll come up taking the mickey out of the situation, like we do with the mayor down home, or the CEO. We take the mickey out of him, and we also have a situation where we create a fact.
They're on to you.
So, I'm a bit hard of hearing,
Okay.
but I would like to make one or two encouraging statements if I may.
Certainly, sir.
Okay. Maoris don't speak when they sit down. I turned 84 a few days ago. I'm only saying that because I see these things over the last 60 years, local or city council or city central government, the same problems. Okay? I'm going to say to you that in the last 2 years, a young woman came on to me, Māori woman, and she was up to several thousands of dollars back rates. And on top of it, they were adding lawyers' fees and all that sort of thing. It ended up at something like $200,000. She came and saw me. Now, there's a difference between statute and law. Statute is an act of parliament given the force of law. Raise your hand if you know what the force of law is.
We don't go that far this early, but carry on.
Sorry? I only answered that question
Okay, go for it.
because if you don't know the answer, that's why we're in trouble. Here is the answer. Consent. That's the answer. What is the force of law? Consent. 6 million Jews did not consent. So when you learn that a statute is an act of parliament given the force of law, and who has to give the force? You and I. There's another thing I want to encourage you to learn about. When we elect people to any level of government, are they not public servants?
Yep.
Anyone disagree with that? They're public
They
servants.
have an oath to the people.
Sorry?
They have an oath to the people.
Yes, they're public servants. They're public servants of here. But the problem is that you and I haven't been very fair to our public servants. And they haven't been, they're walking around with us chasing their tail, and we get angry with them. Okay? So what I'm going to say to you is this. My personal belief is everybody who goes to city council or the central government, every one of them, in the depth of their soul, they want to get down to the powerhouse to do something good for our people. Every one of them. But history will show it's not happening, is it?
Oh,
It's not.
definitely not.
And the reason why it is not happening, because you and I have forgotten that we are the sovereigns and they are the servants. They have sworn an oath. I do swear. Now, there's another thing that's going wrong. The British Commonwealth of Nations and all the European nations, especially America, because they've got a constitution, their foundational law is the 10 Commandments. That's their foundational law. Same in New Zealand here. The King himself says, I do swear that I will uphold all of the statutes in the Parliament of England assembled and all the dominions belonging thereto, that includes New Zealand, Australia and Canada. And all of the laws and customs of the same. The King is my servant, but he's been sending his armies over here, and he's been butchering us. All the colonizers have done that because they've forgotten. No, they haven't forgotten. They know all the time. You and I have forgotten. You and I are at fault. All we have to do is say, just a moment, they've sworn an oath to God that they're going to serve me. You and I, wake up. Now I'd like to leave you my email address. Now, I went to court for a lady around here who was, I told you before, over several thousand dollars going up. I wrote to the lawyers specifically, and I gave them 72 hours from a specific date to refute all of my claims. They couldn't refute them. And the council was not able to collect the debt. Now it's already gone to the House of Lords. Years ago, the Maoris do not pay rates. Why did the House of Lords say that? Because Maori has given all the roads, all the land to the roads, the railways, all the shipping in the rivers. That's why the House of Lords say we don't pay rates. But we've been fooled, all of us, not just us Maori, we've all been fooled into believing that when the person is up there, the Prime Minister, forgotten that she, he, whatever, is our servant. So I'll leave you my email address if you want to, because I've been, see, I came up here because our Maori people have been in trouble. Oh, you know there's two kinds of government, okay? There's a de facto government, okay, and a de jure government. A de facto government is that government which has been set up, force of arms. Right. How did they set up the government here in New Zealand? Force of arms. Every government is a de facto government that's set up by force of arms, the de facto government. But a de jure government is that government that has been set up by the will of the people. Now, if it's your will that you want to pay taxes, go pay taxes. It's if your will you want to pay rates, go pay rates. But if it's not your will, there are two kinds of public servants. We've got the elected public servant, and we've got the appointed public servant. The elected public servant is there to take care of my common will. Will we go to war? Will we not? No, we won't. Or if we will. They don't decide, we the people decide. Because we're going to fight the war. Okay? So that's where we're in trouble. So I will say to you that I want each and every one of you in this room today to name 4 or 5 friends. Okay? I've seen about 40 odd people here. Surely there must be more people that are concerned about all these problems.
You would think so.
So what I'm going to ask you to do, write down 10 of your friends.
You said 4.
Well, if you only got 4, okay, make another friend. Okay? You see, folks, what we need to do from, in my opinion, what we need to do from here is decide whether we are a sovereign or servant. You make that decision, then we need to get the information together to show each other how we can act as a sovereign without hurting our brother who's the mayor. That's what sovereigns do. We try to work out things that we don't hurt other sovereigns, we don't hurt our servants. So we've got to, I'm going to ask you to do that. Write down 10 friends, okay? And then give them this, ask them, are you a sovereign or a slave? You may have to go and address that issue, because a lot of them, with the language today, I speak straight English as far as I'm concerned. Manachiro nanachiro tamis for nobody. Sovereign. Okay? So, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And if you've got any questions, don't ask me because I'm deaf. But write them down. I'll be happy to answer them. My email address. Listen to the first letter as I speak phonetically. Are you going to write it down?
Yes.
Sierra, Victor, Romeo, November, Tango, Yankee, Charlie, Mike, November, Lima, Alpha, Whiskey, at protonmail.com. All I've done is taken some of the vowels out of that, and it reads sovereignty common law at protonmail.com. Now, when you respond to me, if you respond to me, I'm going to ask you to do some things and spread the message. You know, I feel sorry for this man. Yeah.
You look like you've got a grin on the face.
The reason why I'm sorry is that he's spending his time in that trying to generate things, isn't he? Okay, he's giving his time, and there's a lot of others. Now, I came along here to encourage you. One of, my opinion, one of the best ways to help him, increase the numbers by asking, are you sovereign or servant? And hold them. Now, when we go back to our politicians, you know, back to local government or there, okay, as I said before, we've got two types of public servants. I said the first one. The other one is the appointed public servant. The problem is that the elected public servant is trying to do the job of the appointed public servant. What does he know about fractional reserve banking? What does he know about engineering so the mountain won't fall on us? See? The politician is not supposed to know that. He's supposed to go to the expert, the appointed public servant. He's got all the clues. But they don't do that. No. They don't go to those skilled persons. They stand up trying to answer things themselves. And they get into trouble. We get angry with them. They get angry with that. And where are we now?
In this room, arguing.
Still on the ball.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, write it down.
Can I say one thing?
Sorry. I've got a second here.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
When the council is challenging you for your property, and you say you're a sovereign, they say you're a terrorist. That's the next step that you have to do.
Oh, yes. You see, it's all in the language. It's all in the language. All you have to do is understand the English language. Now the English language is, some people are changing it. See,
left.
Today, I'm a black, Western African lesbian. Yeah. Because that's how they change language. But does it make me change? Does nature go that way? No. So we got all that stupid silence going out there, and some of our city councils are actually backing them by making a rainbow pedestrian crossing.
Thank you.
Take job.
I basically said that in a more polite way. So I said I've said that in a more polite way, because this is grassroots. Later on, you will learn from this man and a few others about the sovereignty and the legalities of some of these things. But if I did that today, you would all walk out because it's over your head. It's too much to understand day one. You have to grow into this. It's about 4 steps for you to really get a full understanding. So I'm back in February, March to travel the North Island again.
Just one other quote.
No,
Case law. Nicholas Cree versus the IRD, 17th of December 1999. The court ruled that Nicholas Bruce Cree does not have to pay tax. The problem was, though, the powers that be have created 2 persons. All of you that have driver's license, pick up my phone out, and you see your family name, and another case, capital letters. Let me finish, please.
no, because that's further on up. We teach them further on up. So what you're teaching them today is too much for them today. They need to learn.
Well, just a moment, I don't think it's too much for them. I think you're pretty smart. I think you can understand what I'm saying.
I think most of it is
Okay.
need to get the
So
basic.
what I'm saying is, you go to Nick Cree, they'll show the court says, we the people don't have to pay taxes. The only ones who pay taxes is the corporations.
Yes.
That's right, case law.
That's nothing to do with the council. Anyway.
But anyway, it was good.
Yes, it was.
But as the boss here says, it's the next stage. And I'd just like to reinforce, from my point of view, some of the things he did trigger is the fact that what you're going to move on to in the future is educating us, because most of us don't actually understand a lot of it.
What I said earlier is we try and get you a grassroots idea of what is happening here, and from the grassroots we then get you to join into a team. And if we take Kaitaia, where we've just come from, not Kaitaia, but there was 3 areas there. We pulled in around about 50, 60 people, I think, from memory, and they've joined up in all 3 areas to actually go forward. And what this man is saying is you need to actually learn to get off your chuff and do something. So you need now to understand what you need to do. There are basics for you to learn. At the next meeting that you have will be run by a lady Helen here, and there will be a template for you to start working on so that you can step up. And you'll get to this stage before stage 3, where you will have people on board telling you about sovereignty, telling you about the laws and the taxes, telling you about the other situations, ACC and all these other things that we pay for, that we shouldn't be paying for, because we never looked over our shoulder when it came into place. We, the baby boomers, have a lot to answer for, no question about it. And we had that life of Riley back then. And when you start seeing things happening in 1988 and in 1989 the government decides it's going to take over, what the hell were we doing?
Having fun.
Yeah, and what happened behind our back? The system changed from you to a government.
The corporation.
Yep. So in due time, this man will stand up and talk to you in a meeting where you will actually have enough grounding previously that when he talks you will have a clear understanding of what he's saying, and that's further down the track. We don't deal with politics today, we don't deal with the law today, because they're very complicated fields, and you need to understand there's a lot more of that than just listening to us talking. It's a bit of research.
Corruption.
Pardon me?
We're dealing with corruption.
Yes, we are. We are. No
Do
question.
you know that they've got the elected got it all set up in tiers right now for who's having the jab and who's not? You do know that, don't you? So all the people on the ground, the ones that were going to be slaves or subservient to the jab, or whatever communication they want us to have through the UN Council.
They're not be very good slaves in the carcass, are they?
No, no, no.
And most of them are khaki with their rights, yeah.
Exactly.
We have an intel telling us about 800 a week are dying from Waikatos.
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand, 800 a week died from Waikatos. So that's a problem that we the people need to change at the next election.
Do you see their strategy though?
It's population reduction.
Exactly. Exactly.
We've got that with 5G, we've got that with APL, we've got with fluoride, there's a range of things that we have glyphosate, yes. So, other questions? Just
We've got to work fast.
All right?
We've got to work fast.
Yes, we
Well,
do.
that's my question then, so you say the next meeting's in February, and you say.
No, I'm back in February. You'll have a meeting probably in the next 2-3 weeks, maybe?
Okay. So, and you say what, four meetings are required to get us up to speed with the information, is that what you said?
If you're coming in with this mentality and you wait for the next meeting, yes. If you're active and you get off your chuck and you start researching, you start doing these things, yes, you can shorten that. Someone likes the West Coast of the South Island, someone likes Waimakariri, they've only taken a couple of months to actually get right through to the end.
So if we fill out this form here, we become up, we're on some sort of contact list for information and meetings.
Correct, you will be under Helen, and then Helen will join with the other people in the area that are running meetings, and those three work together. You guys come together once a month. So what we do in the South Island is we have different groups meet every month. Now in the Tasman one, which is Wakefield, Richmond, Nelson, Motueka and Takaka, they meet every fourth Sunday for potluck dinner or potluck tea or barbecue or a walk in the park. But they have a competition. Who did the dirtiest trick to the council? Why not?
Yeah, lovely.
You know, we fire these flyers out, and I said before, we sow a seed, we have a joke, or we have a fact. There's many ways of skinning this cat. But at the end of the day, what we're finding now is that people are starting to leave. I'm going to show you a case of fraud with MPI. So we've actually got them at their own game. So there was a guy down south who is off-grid, exactly what this man is referring to, and he doesn't have a number plate, he doesn't have, he doesn't pay tax, he doesn't pay rates, he doesn't pay anything. And he's in and out of jail, but the guy's actually got to the stage where he's learned how to do it. So you guys can't learn that in one hit, it takes a while. So what transpired is he was coming home from down a reedy beach where he got a trailer load of seaweed. And on the way home, the cop pulled him up for speeding. And he's got no number plates. But the trailer had a number plate, so his trailer got a ticket for speeding. Work that out. How does the trailer get a ticket? So he beat them in court with that one. Then MPI thought, well, we're going to take this guy down. So they came onto his farm. They accused him of producing seaweed for an income, and they accused him of making $500,000 worth of fat. In actual fact, they only put it on his car. What transpired is they took all 22 items off his property, and he wrote down as they took them off what they were. And at the end of the day, they sold up his farm. But he had these 22 items. And at the bottom, he had at $5,000 a day plus interest. He very quickly passed it over to the judge to sign as recognition of the assets. So he had back door. After 3.5 years, he went and finally got to see the judge. He ordered the judge using common law, natural law, commercial law, contract law, etc., etc. He bowled the judge up, and the judge could not adjudicate. The judge couldn't adjudicate because they adjudicate for the government only. They don't adjudicate for us. So this guy beat the judge at the judge's own game, and the judge had to walk out. He couldn't adjudicate. If he adjudicated, he would have been done for treason. This was informed to the judge at the meeting. If you do not adjudicate for us, we have you for treason. So he couldn't adjudicate, he walked out. That is a no challenge. What transpired then is young Jamie turned around and wrote out the document, and he gave it to the judge that signed it in the first place. And the judge looked at that and goes, oh yes, right. One moment please. And they sat down and did some numbers. They came back and the judge says, we need to have MPI pay you $1,081,000 for the rental of those vehicles over the last 3.5 years. And so now the judge has informed the MPI they must pay the money. All right? So when you get to this man's level, you will understand that.
So you did an affidavit and you put a lien? Is that what happened?
Did he put a lien? No. Because what happened was they had his assets. So he sent an invoice for the hire of the assets plus the interest.
He did it by affidavit.
So Ed fuels the fire, he goes around wherever MPI go and rent a building, he goes in and tells them, you're harbouring a fugitive illegal operation, you have to kick them out. They cannot get to rent anything in Invercargill, they have to come from Dunedin 200 k's away. So that's where you need to understand the council, the government, not going to worry about the government too much, we're not worried about the council. The council are not big. You've got a building that you think is the council, it's a block building. Inside that block building, there's only 7 people, and there's 30 odd here today, and you can't beat 7 people. You're going to learn to. Those 7 people, not all of them, but there's 7 that basically are aligned with this borrowing. They are the CEO, the mayor, the chief financial officer, executive officer, 2 office staff and a deputy mayor. Those are the people, which ones of those signed that loan on your behalf? Those are the ones we're going to hit, because at the end of the day, you, as I said when I first started, you do not have a contract with the government. You do not have a contract with the council. You did not sign nothing. There is no ink copy where you have written it. If you have, I'll come and see it, because I take a few things myself. Because that's the thesis of it. I can come to you and say, have you signed? You go, yes, I'm going to go, then I'm going to sign something in your house. I'll have a new house, I'll have a new car. You wouldn't allow me to do it, but you're allowing the council to do it. Because we've sat in nappies for too long, in my opinion. Alrighty, so training, just iterating that point there, is you put your name on there, you join up, we will send a letter of thank you very much, and then we send a template for Helen to start the meeting with, so you can meet him next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and you can sit down and work out who you are, what you are, you introduce yourselves, you're going to form a team, alright? You're not going to be hairy-fairy, you're going to knit a team, whether it's basketball or rugby type team, you have to have that spirit between you, that you're going to work as a spirit. So what you do is sit down and introduce yourself, like we've done in South Island, and then you come back and say what you'd like to do, and we send you off in those different areas within that one umbrella. We don't send you off and allow you to go chasing ACC or those sort of things. You're here for admin, you're here for researching, you're here for the legal aspect, you're here to find communication with the outside world, and that you're going to use the flyers. When I say the flyers, in the southern part of the South Island, where it's been going for about 6 months, out of the woodwork we have got a lady in town now that was a head chemist, or what do you call it, in the government. She got dismissed because she didn't take the jab. She's now check-out operator down south. We have a man that came out who was from 10 Waters in the old days. He didn't take the jab, he's down in the Catlins. We have a person in Gore who is a political scientist, and she's come out of the woodwork. We would never find those people in a meeting like this. By sending the flyers out on a regular basis, these people go, oh, I've seen this, I've looked at that, oh yeah, and you've written something that they relate to, and these people come out. So we've got other people that come out. One came out a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, and she's high up in the government. She's getting out in January after being paid for the Christmas holidays, etc. Good on her. And at the end of the day, she wants total anonymity. She does not want you people to know who she is, but she's going to release a lot of information. We've got a guy on board who is Israeli intelligence. Yep, there's only 2 of them in New Zealand, they're both Kiwis. The Israelis have a 737 in New Zealand that they fly around New Zealand doing all the security for the New Zealand government. Okay? So we got a wee phone call. We found some fraud in Kapiti. What did you find? We found that the Kapiti Council have given a building developer code of compliance because he couldn't afford it. So we lent him $1.8 million on paper. We lent him 1.8 so that he could get his code of compliance and then pay it off. So they've actually created a fictitious document because they didn't actually pay him 1.8 million in cash. They just lent it to him, and he then applied for the code of compliance using that bit of paper, and it nullified itself. But there is fraud. They're not a bank. Council cannot do that. So I said, right, boys, keep going. So we put 7 researchers into Kapiti. So we found in 2018 they borrowed $20 million. And the Auditor General said, you must be transparent. You must be, for this duty, you must be clear, transparent, honest, and you must be an oath to the people. So this $20 million, we have been researching the income, we've been searching the expenditure to try and find it. We cannot find it. Right, so it's $20 million over here and we can't find it. It's nowhere to be found. Now we start looking at, go a bit further. 2021, we found $31 million that we cannot find in the council books. We're at 51 million. This year we pulled out $45 million. We're now at $96 million is missing in Kapiti's books. That's a small council. Okay?
So that's over 4 years.
Yes. And now we've just found another one that's just happened. So we have meetings with the council. They want to know how much they'll pay us for us to not make this public. I make it public. I ain't interested in the money. It's not about money. It's about the people. People pay rates. Why is that money going offshore? And I'll talk about that in half a second. So we now found $875,000 from another property developer down home who was not going to get his code of compliance. There's no way. It was a shoddy job, taking the shortcuts, looking for a quick buck. Didn't happen. Council would not pay him the $875, would not give him a code of compliance. What transpired is the bank, the BNZ Bank of that council received $875,000. It was gone within 6 hours to a private ANZ bank account. That was not a council bank account, an ANZ private account. Consequently, the code of compliance was given. So the money is back-ended. So we have these scenarios right around New Zealand. We can sit here and you guys could probably raise the subject. We can show the full of it. It's not hard. Questions?
We've got to go.
You got to go. When you got the toilet's just out here. You got to go. It's a good thing you got no kids. They're going to call you an old goat.
We've got 6.
We're not used to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will see you.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I stand up as a Māori and feel somewhat concerned that, you know, I am in the minority here in this group, but also feel concerned, you know, sitting in this space, you know. I feel slightly intimidated because of my, ethnic background.
Are you relating to?
Just the dynamics in the whare, and just, I'm not, you know, I'll just speak the rest of my speech and see where we land at the end of it. So I just needed to say that,
Yep,
just because, I'm curious in terms of other meetings we've been to, you know, what percentage or numbers of Māori that have attended, and with regards to Māori wards as well, what does that look like in terms of what we're speaking of now, or what, you know, what implications it has, and need felt a need to say that.
Yeah.
And to see where we're at, you know, because it feels slightly intimidating being in this room as a Māori, and it's not necessarily anything to do with what you're saying, the people here in the room. It's just as a Māori, in my, you know, as a tangata whenua. And that I know that, you know, we've got a huge population of Māori here in the north who are hugely, you know, discriminated against, feeling the impacts of council, government, you know, all of that. And why aren't we here? You know, and you know, I'm not looking for an answer. It's just a question I'm facing here. And you know, it's not an uncommon feeling for me to be in a space like this, as in the minority. And yeah, just want to put that on the table, put it, you know, out here, and hear about your other experience in other places.
Could I just say something? I felt the same as you in the reverse at Napa Springs, at Napa Innovation Park the other day with a full council meeting, and the topic was Māori wards, and I got speaking rights for that, and I was the only Pākehā in that building. I'm absolutely certain of that. So I do feel those things too, and I was trying to work out how we can work together in a much better way before we all lose our country. I am absolutely supportive of Māori wards and have been very vocal on that on the airwaves as well, and why it is vital. So I'm just saying, for my ex-role, and the roles that I've done, if I hadn't have had the Māori vote, I wouldn't be here to start with in the whole whenua. So, in relation to the Māori wards, Mark stayed with me last night, and so you get a bit of a chance to talk about things, and we actually made a couple of recordings that are already up. I didn't know Mark from a bar of soap, but I believe in freedom of speech. And so I went along to Rawene yesterday, and there was a few people there, Māori and Pākehā, as it turned out. But I think it's absolutely vital. I just want to support Mark. I have a difference of opinion in terms of how we can achieve this in a governance sense, and we can achieve it as early as the next elections. A few like-minded mayors can be straight into Local Government New Zealand, which is the company which runs all of our mayors in this country. It's actually a company, Local Government New Zealand. So there's lots of things to talk about. I think that if everybody keeps an open mind, but there's some determination involved from here on in, because things aren't right in the hood all over the country. We know that. That's why we're all sitting here. And local governance is the most important form of governance because it's the most applicable to you, because it's in your area. And every area has differing needs. Community boards need to be revamped, rebooted, made much stronger. The Māori boards, this is only the second term that they've been in. Very low voter turnouts in those. So you could ask the question, why not voting for the Māori wards within Māori themselves? So all of these things need to be encouraged big time. Really do. Mark is hard ass, and that's exactly what we need to take down the unelected that are ruling us all. All of the people that have come out since the 2020 COVID, because this is when lots of stuff's really come out about people wondering how is governance looking after us at a national level or at a local level? Who's involved in making those decisions? All of this funding, it's just completely out of control. And so not many people, auditors, anybody, will actually say it how it is, because that'll be the last auditing job they ever get. So when you get somebody like Mark standing up, and fellow auditors that are standing up with us, that's what we need. We have to work out a way where we start building some trust in each other, because that's a very vital cog that's missing across New Zealand everywhere. It's fear-driven mentality in this country now. Divide and rule.
Fear and apathy.
Yes, there is apathy, but we need councils to be standing up for not only what's happening locally, but have commentary whether huge immigration is what we need in this area. Whether that industry is actually appropriate. Do we have such vast monocultural activity going on in the place? We have to make some big decisions about lots of things. Revamping the Local Government Act. Very, very vital. When all of these amalgamations took place in 1989, like Mark's talking about, none of us really realised probably totally what that was going to entail. And over time, by setting up a local government, LGNZ, Local Government New Zealand, a company running all the mayors, Society of Local Government Managers that runs all the chief executives, mayors not allowed to go to the chief executives conferences, where they're making all their decisions to go back and tell their councils what they've got to do. That is what we have to change. And Northland, and I'll finish with this, Mark, thank you. But Northland's in a prime position at this point. We actually have a Māori mayor and a Māori deputy mayor. We have to get much more alignment into hapu, to have much more collectivity and agreement on that level. We can't be at every corner having a different wish list. There's lots of things that we have to build trust. I'm a newbie up here. I came up here because I thought self-governance was a high possibility up here, but we're so far from it, it's crazy. Because what I saw in my mayoral roles, my council roles, I've been elected in 2 different provinces and on DHBs, elected members. It is corrupt through and through, and what Mark is highlighting is another very important effort is follow the money and sort that out. Bring governance back to the people, for the people, by the people. And we can do that. Get 2 or 3 like-minded mayors in this country and start doing notices of motion straight away to LGNZ and start saying, we want to talk about these situations. We want to talk about this. That is what we can't do at the moment. I'm listening to Mark because I'm looking for allies too. We need to be alliances and fairness for everybody, because it ain't happening. I'm nearly 72. I'm nearly 70 as well. And I don't want to leave and be part of a legacy that's left what we've left. Simple as that. Never heard of the man before, but I've thoroughly enjoyed the last 24 hours just having a bit of dialogue. You can watch those. We've had a couple of conversations online on, Facebooking that cover a number of the questions that have actually been asked today. We just did that earlier on today, just sat down and had a conversation. Peace and love to you.
Can I just add one little thing to the conversation? I agree with what I heard both parties. And one thing I sort of concerned, the 2 speaking people that just spoke, and a minority factor is that it concerns me, and it's a big issue that needs to be covered on percentages. Like, so we've got a reasonable age limit here, it's very confined to a later age.
Correct, mature.
So here we go. To change, we need numbers and we need percentages in most cases. Not all, but in most cases. Unless you've got a hell of a good army. But what I'd suggest within this group and other groups and maybe future conversations, that as we go out and find people, we try and find younger people to get involved too. Correct. Because we need the youth. And I'm not just talking about young, I'm talking about anyone younger than us and right down the line, you know what I mean? I think that's a key element with all these situations where you need to make change. You need involvement and participation across the board. And how we get it, I don't have an answer, except to say here, people that aren't in this room, which whether Māori or younger people, we need to also try and focus on that, get a message out there to them, because without them, I think we won't win too much. We can fight a good fight, but we need that sustainability from a bigger dynamic, you know what I mean?
Quite agree. There's one interesting point in there which we don't really realise, is that only 37% of the people vote.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is rouse probably another 40% to get in behind. when you talk about the young ones around New Zealand and done over 100 meetings, we find that about 15% max are young people under the age of 45. And the rest are us old faddy dad's army type people. And that's a biggie. I've spoken to my son, he's 37, and I said, you need to get a hold of this, you need to understand this. And his answer was, Dad, we were programmed since age 5, we have no idea what you're talking about. If I may say, ma'am, I thank you very much for coming. For me, you're part of the family. Okay, today we have white people here, and that's a bit frustrating for you. It's frustrating for us, but given time and giving understanding and giving a bit of support to them, they will come along when they're ready. And right now it's not their time. I don't have a problem with that. I've got people that would love to join up that are high flyers, and they can't join because one's had an open heart and one's got a wife with a serious illness. You know, we just have to do our job, present the word to the people, and they'll come out when their time's ready. Not because we say so, because it's their time. If you have faith in your people, they will come out when they're ready. I have no problem with that. I see it around the country. So you're part of us, you're part of family, you're all one, as Dave Finney says to us, we're all one people.
I think it's a bit more than that too. It's not about her having faith in her people, she needs faith in us, that they're not being judged.
But the other thing is that.
Wait,
by
I'm talking. Sorry.
Yeah, that was just my point. It's not about this lady having faith in her people. She's got to have faith in us. That it's not separatist, that we're not judging, that everybody's welcome. That's the way I took the volunteer.
As I said, that we have to be united.
Yeah,
Race, creed, religion, everything gone. Yeah?
I think we're also missing the point that was first voiced, which was that she feels awkward in this
Couldn't blame her.
place. It's like,
How would we go?
take our meeting to Māori, to a marae. You know, is that
I don't
is
turn
that
down a
possible
meeting.
answer?
I have not turned down a meeting anywhere in New Zealand, whether it's one of these or whether it's a one-on-one. Whether it's a mayor, whether it's a CEO, whether it's an MP, I don't care. I'm there on behalf of the people to put down that we are unjustly treated by the people that have no respect for the people, that have the power to ignore us. So I'll front anyone, I don't have a problem. I'm not there to fight or argue, but I'm here to express our point of view. We are getting sucked in and we are not being listened to. There's no for this regime.
Thank you. What I wanted to say is, it highlights to me that I'm not interested in the system anymore. I will not vote for any councillor. I will not vote for this council, another council, whatever, because I'm over the system. And that's what I feel is happening with Māori too. Over the system. And maybe it is best just to ignore it. You know, like, it's just, and let them play their game, because it is a fucking game. It is a game, and they don't give a shit about us, and it's all about money and control.
Power.
While I agree with you,
Which is fake. Money's fake anyway, it's all fucking bullshit.
all right.
Sorry.
It's right. No, you're freedom of expression. Good on you. What I'm finding at the end of the day is that when you go around New Zealand and you watch these mayors and these young bucks coming in, like Nelson, 20-year-old, Gore, 19-year-old, just come back from overseas being trained at WF. What I'm finding now, from a business point of view, you look for a kink in the armour. What I'm finding is they've got too cocky, they've got too sure of themselves, and they think they don't have to listen. Now, where's the weakness? We the people. We the people are the strength to take that down. This to me is World War III. I'm going to say why. Because World War I, World War II were land grabs and dictatorship against the people. The people won. This one here is pen is mightier than the sword. We are the pen. The other one's going around cutting everything down.
Hitting them with what they do have done to us.
For sale side.
The paper and the pen.
For sale side.
Yeah.
Find them and argue with them.
Mayors as MPs and no more political parties, that's what I was going to finish on before. 78 mayors.
And none of us own land. Land is only the
The
creator.
deed, the deed.
Creator. That is all bullshit.
No,
All of it is
we
bullshit.
don't need war.
Creator. Creator.
Thank you.
It's moving from.
But it's not impossible, it's just a matter of getting the direction right, and like pulling the people, like, when we have our groups, if we build these groups, if we build groups in the areas that I think we've suggested, fill out the forms, build groups, then we find more people, and amongst that we find the Maori people,
Got them
we
on board.
find the young ones, we find that we get out and we find the people, and that produces the numbers. Now, but not, I don't want any arguments, but I think one of the strong points, whether you are happy with it or not, your only means is either to vote, and to vote them out, or to vote the ones in.
Or to find the four and be able to beat them before them.
But there's got to be strategy.
Yes. In other areas in New Zealand, we have groups like so this, where 3 out of 10 were married. So that's very encouraging, and it's quite exhilarating to see that they're coming in, they're listening, and they're going to join. We're not here to argue about politics, we're here to clean out the mess and get rid of the fraud, and we need everyone's support to do that.
Yeah, I'd just like to encourage Vicari on that, because last Saturday at the market, when I had my little desk there collecting questions, I would say at least 50% were Maori people. I had to encourage Pākehā to come along. Maori were coming up. They were really keen to get in and have their say and write it down. And there were some very articulate and well-written questions up there.
Do you keep a copy, John? So that
It's all on paper there, and
I
it's
know,
all
but-
going to go to, it'll be printed up and it'll go to the council. That was what I would like some,
Support.
yeah, just who should I send it to in council?
Well, it's a public parchment.
Yeah.
It really is, and John, I didn't recognise you with your out your glasses and the hat on, that's why I did a little
That's all
interview
right.
with John the
I'll
other
try
day,
again.
and I'm going to do another one because we were really just promoting this meeting, but
Yeah.
it is such a good idea that you've got over there, and it was really, really cool watching all the people coming up and writing their thoughts down on that. And I thought about it a lot, and I just thought of that name, the public parchment.
Okay, yeah.
Just as an idea, you don't have to do
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
because it is, and it's it was cool. It was a cool market day too. That day. So yeah,
Make
it's a really
sure you've kept the original for yourself, and you
Oh,
give
yeah,
that to someone else. Take the copies, feed it in, because they come looking. Right?
And who should I send it to in the council? Who should I aim it at the,
I'd send it to the ombudsman.
I would go to the media first because they're the ones that are complicit in so much going wrong at the moment. They report it.
they have
So
said.
go to them,
interested in,
do a story and
supporting-
then present it. Yeah. Say that you want to present it and you intend to present it and then
Well,
they can make a
it'll be
story.
presented every month, so
Yeah.
it'll be an ongoing.
Fantastic idea, it really is. Good one.
All righty, any more questions? We had none?
Will this information be made available to us? I'm interested in people who can use a computer and produce programs.
Like the parchment, so you're talking about that?
I can't hear, write it down
We
somewhere.
have a digital creator on board, we have two actually.
Yeah.
Yes, all right, so they do your flyers, they do your work for you,
Yeah.
all right? Yes,
So
it's
is
all
there a
part of the
copy of
team.
the parchment? Is
Well,
there
it was my
information?
question.
It's all there.
There's no
There's
copy.
copy.
Please write it down.
I have a copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so you were saying, and then we'll come back to the man.
I'd like to see what the questions are, if that's going to be turned into a computer document and available to be sent out.
When you come to the next meeting, this young man will table it, and you guys can all have a look, or you can have a look after the meeting, nothing's stopping you. It's not secret information, it's public. And this man's working on a similar situation to what we are.
Yeah.
Get the public on board, get them to ask questions, teach them, feed them, do what you need to help them out.
Hey Mark, you know how you mentioned all the fraudulent stuff that's been going on, how much everything costs that the council's been putting money into? Do you have that documented, like, do you have that, or we can, a PDF or something like that? Because I think that'll be really interesting for a lot of people, because they don't know.
Yeah.
And Telegram pages, Telegram challenging councils, there is 20, nearly 30 pages of different topics and different information, different legal issues in there. You can find all this on Telegram challenging councils. Facebook's totally different. We're in there and that's colossal. But at the end of the day, it's more general conversation. Telegram is more educational, and it's about you coming in and writing down the laws you know, or it's me coming in and asking you what you know about this, and someone pops up out of the woodwork and says, I can answer that. And we have, a lot of our people in there are actually married. There is probably 8 or 9 that are in there every day talking to most people, and there's no conflict. It's just freedom. And they're free to speak their mind. We do not curb it in any way, shape or form. They'd be out if they did. If anyone takes them out, I take them out and put them back on. People are entitled to have their say. And that's what will make us a better team, by everyone coming together. Even though you've got a difference of opinion, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're here for one reason: take out the council and then take out the government afterwards. And for you, just to give you a wee insight, we have already created a whole new infrastructure for a system outside of governments. Not outside of government. It's already been designed. For those that don't understand what we're doing, we actually have been picked up by Perth, Australia. They have gone and taken up what Challenging Councils has designed, and they're now taking it over to Perth, and they're putting it into place in Perth, and they actually write every couple of weeks, the secretary writes to tell me how they're getting on. So what we're doing is different to what we used to do over the last 30 years. It's education, it's movement, move forward, find out what you want to do. In Westport, they are 37% of the people have gone into a vote of no confidence. They've got another 14% to fight, and they're out there doing it. They go to a flea market, a supermarket or whatever, and they get the numbers. In Waimakariri, Rangiora Renters and Ratepayers Association, they've already got a CEO, they've got a mayor, they've got the council staff. We've already got a similar amount in Hamilton and down in Dunedin. We interviewed the councillors to see where they're at, one-on-one in a private room, cafe or whatever. We don't do it in the council, where they have friction. Yeah, so we get them out into a place and we ask them questions. So New Zealand-wide, we ask councillors where they're at to find out, are they on our side? Are we going to promote them next year, or are we going to expose them?
Has that been done in FNDC?
Pardon me?
Has that been done in FNDC, or?
No, it's my first day. Sorry about that.
No, I was just curious.
You've got a chance,
Yeah, work behind the scenes.
But, yes, but you guys can do that. There's nothing stopping with 2 or 3 is meeting a council and asking them questions. That's really fruitful, because you learn a lot of things that you don't know. So in the back of Challenging Councils, we have that page for the councillors. Andrew Byder's in there, but Andrew releases stuff into the council laws page in Telegram, Challenging Council, and he releases information. For example, one of the things he's got in there just recently was that the 3 waters in the next decade is going to cost Hamilton people 7.5 billion. And there's nothing wrong with our water. No one's ever died from other man-made mistakes.
Just Hamilton.
Just Hamilton. $7.5 billion in the next decade. That equates to 23,438 people. 24,348 per person. Child, teenager, adult, granddad.
How much was that per person?
24,348.
In over the 10 years or per annum?
7.5 billion over 10 years,
Yeah.
multiplied by 320,000 people.
Just for water.
Just, well, water, right. And then he turns around and says, but hang on a minute, we have to take out the farmers that don't have water, they don't have sewage, they don't have this. So take them off, and the figure is 125,000 per person in Hamilton. How on earth can you pay rates? This is why you guys now need to understand, I don't care who they are, that they need to go, simple. And you guys have the power to make them go.
I think there's a theme with this water. You noticed it in Hawke's Bay, they had water issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man-made.
A storage thing in Dannyburg in Hawke's Bay, and a separate issue to the original Havelock and Hastings issue. They had a leak in the dam that was been running since before I was a kid, but yet they couldn't fix it. Now, we've got the technology, and it was the biggest event since Adam was a boy type thing. So I think that being a bit suspicious of activities, these water issues that keep cropping up in different parts of the country, is there a connection of, is there an underlying thing? Because we need water. It is a choking point for people unless we go and drink from the rivers, which we can, but most people who live in the city have to turn the tap on. So there's another issue there too, with this water.
I'm going to answer that two quick. One is a lady in Gisborne called Penny. Don't know whether any of you have heard of her. Penny, when the flood happened, the forestry flood happened in Gisborne, and all those logs come down and block everything. Penny is whānau, and she's been battling the council ever since for them to come and give a hand to clear waterways and everything so the water can flow. And it's a deaf ear. The other thing I'm going to highlight is down in Tuatapere. And Tuatapere was to be the guinea pig in New Zealand for those big screens that they're going to put up that told you the thickness of your tyre, whether you warrant fitness, your rego, who was driving, and all that data. They were going to put them up in Tuatapere, a little wee town in the middle of nowhere, population about 300. They thought they would put them up. Well, the 5 councillors that support you guys, they kicked up Bobsy Dye and they couldn't put them in. The public all stood up, walked down the street and told them to get lost. Guess what happened? The bikies came in 2 days later and wrecked the place. Staged, never had any trouble in 50, 60 years. And now that the government wants to do this, what do they do to the people? They bring the bikies in and destroy it. And now we have to have it. And they go, no, we know you planted that. So you, the people, are going to come back and fight. And there's no weapons, by the way, it's a pen. Right.
Fear works sometimes.
Okay?
Fear works sometimes.
Yeah, look at us, we're all here tonight. Yeah.
Right at the beginning you mentioned about QV.
Yes.
What I heard you say, and I could be wrong, was that every QV in New Zealand, the money that it represents goes to the UN, is that?
And World Economic Forum.
Sorry?
And the World Economic Forum. They
It's
enforce.
billions, absolutely. That has to be.
Who knows?
Yeah, but our politicians sign this into
It's
it.
something that just, I find mind-boggling.
Lady, you must know that, excuse me.
Sorry?
Our clever politicians signed us into it.
Yes.
A number of years ago, not just didn't happen yesterday.
It's long before we were born.
No,
actually.
it has to be long enough, because QV's been around.
In terms of the QV going to the government, that's approximately 2002.
Yeah, that's relatively new,
Yeah.
20 years.
So if you can understand that, they, around the world, United Nations and World Economic Forum, every single country gets an invoice for them to operate. Why are we paying that? So at the end of the day, they then come to New Zealand and Luxon and Hipkins and Clark and all these other ratbags, they all say we'll just increase the QV.
So what's the difference between QV and GV?
QV is your valuation.
It's essentially is the government.
Well, that's done by,
One at a time, still fishing.
that's done by an Australian company from my understanding, and they do it all for their.
QV is government registered.
Yes.
QV is government
Can
registered.
someone tell me what that question is?
What is the difference between QV, QV, quotable value,
Oh, yes.
so the difference between the two, QV is to borrow money. GV was a thing of the past, still around today, but that's what the real estate agents use when they're putting a price on your house.
It's quotable value. That's what they do.
Just another way.
Designed to borrow money or to give money?
Sorry, so
QV is designed to borrow money, to take in loans, or to give money overseas?
give money overseas.
It's very just collateral against your title.
See, folks, that's an example. I haven't any clue what they're talking about QV and GV. Okay, I can figure it out later on. But that's the problem. Got two types of public servants. One is the elected and the other one is the appointed. And then this person here studies economics and all that sort of stuff. And we're quoting the wrong person. We go to the elected person. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We've got to put the things to the right people.
That's where we're going.
Yes,
That's the whole idea of this.
good. I'm sorry, I'm just along here now.
I have no problem, sir. I respect what you're saying. Thank you.
Is this what's causing the house prices to be ridiculously high?
Not
Yes.
exactly, not only.
Well, no, not, well,
But because nobody in their right mind would ever pay that latest, QV. My property doubled in value. I can go put it on the market tomorrow, and nobody in their right mind would ever give me double my value.
that's why you can actually challenge.
Oh, you can, and it says it on the document.
That's right.
I did, yeah. It's Marty, I did, and they dropped it by, I don't know, 200,000, just like that.
I've done the
And it
first
just
one.
made me, realise that was probably 10 years ago, made me realise, how stupid,
Our
how
system is
ridiculous,
is
and
full.
just
I
like,
think I will
pull it
next
out of
time.
the air.
I think I will next time.
I
There's a lot of new stuff.
Woo. Thank you very much.
I met the financial advisor to the government in 2006. He told me exactly what you're talking about. He told me what was going on. I can't tell you nothing.
Don't matter.
See you later.
But he told me exactly what was going on way back in 2006.
All righty, everyone's falling off like flies. You better.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
So thank you very much for coming.
Long live Penny Bright!